and welcome to Down with the Browns. And welcome back to another episode of Down with the Browns. You're here with your hosts, Christian and Manny. What's up, Manny?
What's up, Christian? So good to be back. So great to get started. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. So on this episode, we're going to kind of go over some of the receivers' combine grades, their times, their measurements, and just how well we think they did. A few more receivers in trade, free agency, and one that we probably won't get now. And then a few more hypotheticals, like trade-wise, that we saw rumors of. And that's pretty much all we're going to talk about on this episode today. But just to get it started, Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State had a phenomenal combine.
Phenomenal combine. And so we saw him in the 40-yard dash running a 4.38. This guy is seriously somebody who, like, for me, caught my attention. I heard a lot of talk about him. Yeah. And, you know, I was very high on him as well, but I would rather have had Dirk London at the time. But I'm going to say it, you know, I think Garrett Wilson might be now my favorite wide receiver after seeing him. And so for me, you have the 4.38 40-yard dash, 36-inch vertical jump, the 36 vertical jump, the broad jump at 123. And so for the 20-yard shuttle, 4.36. I really am high on Garrett Wilson now. I just saw the way he was able to route run. You know, I know he's 6 foot and 183, and hands measured in at 9 7/8. So I know a lot of people want their bigger body wide receivers, but if Garrett Wilson somehow falls and the Jets don't take him, because I know a lot of mocks have the Jets taking him, but if Garrett Wilson falls, I really, really do like having him. And honestly, we were talking about this pre-show, but we want guys who want to play with Baker Mayfield. We want guys who want to be in that position, wants to be in Cleveland. And there's a quote that was taken from him at the draft, and he said, quote, "Baker's my guy. He was always a little older than me, and he would come back and he coached 7-on-7. During the quarantine, we actually threw together a couple of times. So I know that Baker's a great player and we have a good relationship," unquote. That right there got a lot of Browns fans fired up, because you want to have a guy who, one, is excited to play here. You see the relationship with Baker Mayfield goes back deep. I know Baker, they attended the same school. Baker graduated in 2013, and Garrett Wilson graduated in 2019 at Lake Travis High School. And so I think there's something to be said about, you know, it's cool because when you get guys that go into your same college, it's fine. But if you know a guy that went to your same high school, it's a little bit different. You know what I mean? You spend a longer time in that, you know, school district and everything, and you know a lot about that area. So they can even, you know, whether it be off season, they can both go home, you know what I mean, to, you know, together and practice more because you're still around the area. So I think that cannot be overlooked, how important that is. And I think that that's one of the things that just made me gravitate toward Garrett Wilson at 13. So I have no problems anymore about drafting. And in fact, in some of my mock drafts, I might be drafting Garrett Wilson at 13. If Dirk London is there, if they went the Dirk London route, I wouldn't mind. But there's something to be had about somebody who knows about Ohio and the weather and everything that goes on there.
Yeah, I'm really starting to fall in love with Garrett Wilson again. Like, at the beginning of all the draft talk, I was like, yeah, Garrett Wilson's the dude. And then started watching more and more of Treylon Burks, more and more of Dirk London. And I'm like, okay, we need the big body receiver. I was on that train for a little bit. Like, we need the big body receiver. But, you know, Garrett Wilson's vertical is a 36-inch. His hands are just as big as Treylon Burks, and then his hands are actually bigger than Dirk London's.
Yeah.
So I think that actually just kind of makes him technically like a 6'2", 6'3", just because he can jump 36 inches. So, I mean, that helps him out in contested ball. Because, I mean, go back to the Clemson game, like where he's jumped like 500 feet in the air and he just snags it on that DB, and you're just like, wow.
Jaw dropping.
Yeah, and he just runs like such good routes, and he can catch the ball. Like, I mean, you give him the ball, he's creating yardage. Like, that's just something we've not had. Like, you can throw him at the line of scrimmage, and he's taking it 10, 15 yards. Like, we've not had that in a while.
Yeah.
But that's who he's my number one receiver now at 13. Like, if he don't fall, I'm gonna be kind of upset.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that if he does fall, I think it's almost a guarantee, barring anything that happens up until the draft. I think it's almost a guarantee that he will be taken by the Cleveland Browns. It's one of those things that I feel pretty high on, and once I hear his name called, I'm going to be cheering like crazy, because we just need, like you said, to echo that last statement, we need somebody who can pick up yards after the catch. That those yak yards are so important in today's NFL, and especially being able to pick up quick plays that can turn into that are dig routes or something that's for 5 yards, or 10 yards. You know what I mean? It can go for further if you have the guy out there who's catching the ball, being able to fight for yards, or being able to make one guy miss and pick up an extra 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. That's really important, especially when you're having a run-heavy offense, right? Like if you first and second down, you're running the ball, and then on third down, it's about like 3rd and 5, 4. You know what I mean? And so you can have somebody break it open. And I think that this is a huge deal, and I think that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski understand that, and they're looking at Garrett Wilson for a guy who can complete that for them.
Yeah, and I really like Garrett, but another guy that I've noticed, I've watched his college tape. He can get the yak yards. He can break off the 10, 15 yard catches for like 50. I've seen it happen a ton, like in his college tape, and that's Treylon Burks.
Yeah,
a lot of people are saying, like, kind of knocking him because of his 40 time. Like, he ran a 4.5. Yeah. And everybody's kind of like, okay, he's going to run a 4.4, 4.3, something like that. Like, this dude is 225 pounds at 6'2". Like, that's pretty impressive. I don't care what you say. Like, if you're running a 4.5 at 225, man, that's...
It is still something that I think that he doesn't, like you're saying, he doesn't really get a lot of credit for, because that's a big boy that's running down the field. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's Drake London where that weight can be dispersed because you're taller. With Treylon Burks being 6'2", he has that kind of Deebo Samuel kind of a frame where you can put him wherever you want on the field, maybe even run jet sweeps or whatever the case may be, because he's a pure runner. He's a ball carrier kind of guy. And so I understand where people are probably let down by the fact that he didn't run sub 4.5 40 time. But I think still having a guy who can create his own kind of space and break tackles, depending on how they use him, I don't know if he'll be taken at 13. I really don't think so. Obviously, even if Drake London and Garrett Wilson are off the board by 13, I believe the Browns will probably go Chris Olave. But you know what I mean? So Treylon Burks, if he falls to the 3rd overall pick, we get, for me, I'm heavy on the for picks 1, 2, and 3, I'm heavy on wide receiver, D tackle / edge, and then wide receiver again. So if he falls to that 3rd pick, I don't have a problem with taking Treylon Burks whatsoever.
Yeah, me either. But Treylon Burks, there was so much hype going for him, and then it just feels like everybody's kind of just starting to knock on him, like we said. But his vert was a 33-inch vert. Yeah, and that's still pretty impressive. Yeah. But calculating that up, him and Garrett Wilson, if you put them at like the jump, they're probably about the same. Like the climax of the jump would probably be about the same height. Yeah. And even since we're talking about the combine, one guy that kind of like just really, really caught my eye was Chris Olave. Yes. Like we said, that was my guy that I thought was going to ball out, and he absolutely did. Wow. I was so hyped. He ran the he ran that 4.39, which was a lot faster than I thought he would get. They measured his height at 6 foot. He weighed 187. His hands are 9.5 inches. His arms are 31 and 1/8, and his wingspan is 73 inches and 1/8.
Yeah. When I watched his 40 time live, he was flying. He was flying, and it was so effortless. And it looked like somebody who was just gliding, and he took off, great acceleration. I was absolutely blown away, and it made me kind of turn an eye. And I kind of saw on Twitter, I forgot who it is. I'm so sorry for the user who tweeted it out, but it got me so hyped because they were able in their mock draft to draft both Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, going for the 13th and 44th overall. And I was like, I don't know how Chris Olave falls to 44, but if that ever happened, I mean, my goodness, because I know Garrett Wilson has that great relationship with Baker Mayfield, but Chris Olave has that great relationship with Garrett Wilson. They both went to Ohio State, kind of homegrown-esque kind of individuals. Yeah. So if you're able to do that, that's like
it'd be kind of like I don't want to say it, like it'd be kind of like a Jarvis Odell, from the Buckeyes though, and everybody that would be like the homegrown top. Duo right there. Like all the Buckeye fans in Ohio would be going nuts. Yes. I mean, I'm not a Buckeye fan, but like I would be going nuts if we got both of them.
We got both of them.
Them are two ones. Them are two number one receivers. I feel like going forward.
Yes, they are. And that would be just like you're saying, Odell and Jarvis, that would literally be like them going from LSU to the Saints. And it just sounds so perfect. It sounds so crazy. It sounds so unreal. But if that happened, you never know. You really never know.
Which we didn't think JOK was going to make it to
exactly.
Whatever we picked him at the second.
That's a very good point. That is a very good point. Once we got Greg Newsome, I love Greg Newsome. But once we got him, I was like, oh, JOK's not a chance. But then when he was there on the board, I'm like, oh, please. Steal. Yeah, for sure, Chris Olave.
Yeah, and there's another guy that we've been talking a lot about at 13, and that's Dirk London. He really didn't do much at the combine. I know that they measured him. That was pretty much it. He's a little bit shorter than I thought. Yeah. They said he's like 6'3" and 7th of, like, he's almost 6'4". He weighed 219. His hands are 9 3/8, 33-inch arms, and his wingspan is 77 3/4.
Yeah. Well, does this? And I have a question for you about Drake London. And some of the receivers that get their 40 time done at another place or during their pro day. Do you think that with this trend, do you think that you will give more of a pass to? Or how much credibility would you give to wide receivers who are getting their 40 time or running backs who are getting their 40 time during their pro day or where they're comfortable versus at the NFL draft? Do you think that there would be something, would you give them cause to pause? Because I know a lot of scouts are kind of looking for everything, for any reason to say, hey, maybe you have showing some mental weakness because you want to be more comfortable or running your 40. So would that give you cause to pause, or do you think that it doesn't necessarily matter?
Here's how I look at it. When you're considered the best of that class, you can only hurt yourself by doing that. That's how I look at it, because what happened to Treylon Burks, he ran a slower 40 than what everybody thought he was going to, and now everybody's starting to knock him. They're like, oh, he's a second-round receiver, late first. Because there for a while, we were all considering him at 13.
Yeah.
Because I was really big on Treylon.
Yes, I was. Yes,
I'm still big on Treylon, but
but not at 13.
I think that, I mean, if he goes off at his pro day, then I'm fine with it. But like Drake London, probably a smart move. Probably didn't want to run that 40 because everybody's expecting him to run like a 4.4, 4.5. Because I mean, you've got guys like Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson who just ran below a 4.4.
Yeah.
And then, which there's a ton of guys below 4.4 this year.
There were a lot.
I think there's 10.
Yes. Yeah. It was a record for the wide receivers to how many people ran below 4.5.
Yeah. And, that I just think that it saved face for Drake London, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can't really knock him for that, not having that 40, because you can't compare it. So when he runs it at his pro day, that's when you'll get a more accurate. Because, you can run a faster 40 at your pro day than you will at the combine, or vice versa.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that taking an extra time for that ankle to heal just a little bit more, just to practice on form and coming out of your stance and trying to run the fastest as possible each day of practice and repetition helps. So I do believe that this extra time will help him. And I think that if you want to get the fastest time you can, do that.
Yeah.
Especially he's going to be a first round wide receiver taken. So I think that it doesn't hurt him to not do that. So I think he chose the right move. To be completely honest.
Yeah, it saved face. If you're a second, third round, fourth round, like a later pick, you need to go to the combine because you can boost your draft stock. Yep. Like people like Zach Wilson, like these quarterbacks you've not really heard of, like they went to the combine, balled out.
Yes.
And just like some people like need to go to the combine because it boosts their draft stock. Because honestly, if Zach Wilson didn't do the combine and his pro day, I'd have probably we'd even thought about him being in the first round. And then he he did pretty good at his pro day and combine.
They caused a lot of attention, and I think one of the guys for the combine who helped out, Christian Watson from North Dakota State, wide receiver, completely took advantage of the moment of the NFL combine. I believe he, in my personal opinion, he blew me away. He was one of the people who probably raised their draft stock the most out of the wide receivers.
Yes.
6'4" height, 208 pounds, ran a 4.36 40. That is the 7th fastest 40 time for this year's combine of wide receivers. And he was flying, and he is another guy who's just running effortlessly. So, which
we've been talking about him on the podcast a little bit too.
Yes, we have.
You're big on him before this combine, and I was looking into him, and I was like, okay, I can buy myself into this because he's a big body. Then went off at the combine. Dude had a 38.5-inch vertical.
Yeah.
With him being 6'4", dude. I don't think there's a corner in the league that can contest with him jumping straight up in the air and going at a ball.
Yeah. No. And honestly, I think for a guy who had one of the longest broad jumps ever, it's just a part of me is like, man, I'm happy for him, but then I'm like, darn, he's definitely not falling to where I would like to pick him up.
Yeah, like we were talking about getting him like the 5th, the 6th. Now we're gonna have to, if we're gonna get him, we're gonna have to get him into the 3rd. Or if he even makes it to the 3rd now. You just don't know how teams look at players.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's unfortunate. It really is, and it's like, man, I will say, however, if he falls somehow, to, I know there's a lot of great offensive linemen, a lot of great defensive linemen and edge rushers, and there's some corners sprinkled in there, and I think that for teams that need a quarterback, they'll try to try to trade up and get their quarterbacks, but if there's a chance that he falls, I know one of my mock drafts, this is before, obviously, the great combine that he had, he fell to the 5th round. And I was like, that's a steal. I went 3 wide receivers in that mock draft because I'm like, I just can't have Christian Watson on the board. But I don't mind them taking Christian Watson or even trading up to a couple of spots just to get Christian Watson with their 3rd overall pick. With their 3rd pick.
You're taking him at number 3, baby.
Yeah, right.
I started really liking this Christian Watson kid. The big body, which we need big receivers in Cleveland. And if we get Garrett Wilson in the 1st, whoever we get in the second, and then Christian Watson in the third, maybe the fourth.
Yeah.
So we got 2 picks in the third now and 2 picks in the fourth.
Exactly.
So
exactly. That I wouldn't put it past them to be able to pull that off.
yeah,
And that would be amazing.
and with all these like rookie receivers that we'll end up with 2, I think, out of this draft class. And speaking of like just these rookie ones, you gotta have veteran leadership.
Yes.
And it looks like Juice is on his way out of Cleveland. I think
Yes.
that they're meeting or have met. We've just not really heard anything because I don't think Juice wants to restructure. There's a guy that's possibly getting released in Dallas.
Oh yes.
His name's Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper, 27 years old, 6'1". Like, I think for me, a guy who can produce that well, especially in a bigger market, I would love to get Amari Cooper. I wonder what his asking price is. I wonder what it's going to be, but I think we have to get him as soon as possible, just because I know a lot of teams want him. A lot of teams.
Oh yeah, there'll be a lot of teams knocking at the door to get him.
Yeah,
we'll probably have to overpay a little bit, but his resume just speaks for itself. Dude, I did not realize. I feel like Amari Cooper's been in the league 150 years now, and he's only 27.
Yeah,
he's possibly going to turn 28 before the league year. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've not looked at his birthday, but he already has 7,000 yards, 46 touchdowns. And he's had a lot of injury problems throughout his career. Just to have those stats with all those injuries, man, that's pretty impressive.
It really is. And I think that if you're looking at a guy like him and you're saying, how does he, fit into the offense for the Cleveland Browns? I really do believe that he can stretch the field for you. And honestly, with the contract, if you let Jarvis walk and you just replace his contract with and give it to Amari Cooper's, the $16 million, and throw a little bit extra cash at him, I think he'll be totally fine with that. I really do. There won't be too much wear and tear on his body as he gets a little bit older in age, but at the same time, we pick up. I believe we're picking up 2 wide receivers in the draft. I'm going to keep saying it until it happens, but he could be a great veteran influence on those 2 wide receivers that we get, through the draft. So I think, to your point, you don't really want to have, no offense, and I hate to keep bringing it up, but it was just the whole OBJ situation left such a sour taste in your mouth that if you even have Jarvis there as your veteran leader, it's like Jarvis is literally the man's best friend. Like, we all know that. So it's like, I'm sorry, Jarvis, but I'm not going to say it to his face when we let him go. But it's like, but I know behind the scenes, you're his boy. We're not going to pay you $16 million to be a veteran mentor when you have a huge tie to Odell. And it's like, all right, I'll let you walk, but then I'll bring in a guy like Amari Cooper, 2 fresh wide receivers. Yeah. And, you've already reamped your wide receiver room.
Yeah, because as long as he's in Cleveland, that's going to be the narrative.
Yes.
Which, I mean, kind of like the 0-16 year, Corey Coleman and Deshaun Kaiser, they were both the face of that. Like, when you think of that, you think of Hugh Jackson, Deshaun Kaiser, and Corey Coleman. That's who I think of. Every time I think of 0-16, I just think of those 3 guys. Yeah. And you had to get rid of – we got rid of Kaiser, we got rid of Coleman, and then we eventually got rid of Hugh, and you just don't really think about it as much anymore. Because once you get the faces out, then you just don't think about it as much because there's not that reminder there. So.
Yeah. And I think that would be very refreshing for the Browns to have Amari Cooper, Garrett Wilson, whether it be a Sky Moore or a Christian Watson or whoever you pick up with your third, or Chris Olave. I can keep saying it. Maybe it'll come true. And then DPJ and Anthony Schwartz, because I think I've heard rumors about the Browns letting Rashard Higgins walk. So it's like that seems like a very one of my favorite wide receiver rooms in the NFL already. You have guys that you really like. A lot of people are high on Garrett Wilson. A lot of people are high on Chris Olave. You get those 2 guys Ohio State. I have no idea how it's going to happen, but it
Yeah.
already turns into one of my favorite wide receiver rooms in the NFL.
Yeah. That's 100%. That'd be an elite group here in about 2 years.
Yeah,
2-3
for
years.
sure.
'Cause, I mean,
For sure.
You'd have DPJ on his last year of his contract in 2 years. Then you'd have Schwartz. Hopefully Schwartz can develop.
Yes.
I want to see him become that McCole Hardman for us.
Yes.
'Cause he's got the speed too. He's got the same height. And he was pretty good at Auburn, but like his knock was like catching the football. Yes. I know that's weird for a receiver, but like, the Chiefs game right off the bat, dude, he had 70-something yards, and I was like, okay, we got to steal. Like, this kid's going to be good. And then you just never heard of him after after when he stopped running that route and it got picked. He just kind of, it felt like he wasn't on the field as much. I guess they kind of put him in the dog kennel for that.
How would you feel about just a quick side question, but are there any other free agent guys wide receivers that you would like to bring in for the Browns just as like a mentor role, or any guys that
two that come to mind. I like Marquise Goodwin. Like him. He's fast. He's 30. He's been on a team that went to the Super Bowl with the 49ers, and I just really like his style of play, and I think that would help Schwartz. But another guy is one that's probably going to hit the market here pretty soon. He plays for the Bills Mafia and has for a little bit, and Cole Beasley.
Yeah, he's definitely a tougher guy. I know he's 32, but he's a tougher guy who's obviously played in cold weather. Mm-hmm. Like really, really cold weather. So it's like, the situation when it comes to just being a very tough a slot receiver over the middle, taking hits. Mm-hmm. So I would not mind a guy that's very reliable, like Beasley. And I don't think that he'll be that expensive either. So, you look at a situation like that and you kind of raise an eyebrow at it and say, it's something to monitor for sure. Obviously the Chris Godwin, kind of guys are out there as well. 26 years old for Godwin. And I think, personally, I don't know if Tom Brady comes out of retirement and goes back to the Bucs, then their receivers are staying put. They'll find a way to do that. And I know Tom Brady is not not going to take a pay cut just to have those guys stay. So, but if he doesn't come back, then I believe that those wide receivers are going to be on the market and they're going to be looking for ways to make money, but still be on a very competitive football team. So,
I think that the Brown. I mean, I saw where Bleacher Report rumored that the Browns are going to. They're going to keep tabs on Amari Cooper now. They were going to keep Mike Williams on their radar, but it looks like he's going to get franchise tagged if he don't sign an extension. They're going to keep tabs on Calvin Ridley, and it looks like they're going to keep tabs on Chris Godwin as well. So I'd be fine with any of those receivers, honestly. But if you could just pick one out of that group of receivers that I just listed, who would you pick?
Me personally, I like Amari Cooper a lot, just because of what he has done in his career up until this point. And to be honest with you, I know that, when you're looking at a guy that's going to be your wide receiver number one, you want a very, very a guy that knows he's wide receiver one. Right? So I think Amari Cooper has no problem being in that role. And I think that takes pressure off of Garrett Wilson and takes pressure off of whoever you would get as your 13th overall wide receiver. And I like that helps out the rookies a lot. Like if you have a guy coming into your locker room, you're both going to be experiencing the Cleveland Browns together, a guy that you bring in. And so just saying, hey, this is how I do things. This is how I set things up. And you're both going to be learning it together. I know there's advantages to having a guy who's already been on that team for a while, and then you go there and you learn from them and learn their way. But I know Jarvis can give that, but I don't know I hate to question his character and question how much he would be enthusiastic about teaching these young kids and bringing them in and showing him the Cleveland Brown way, but he's going to be doing it for $16 million, and I personally don't like that. But so
Yeah.
I like Amari Cooper personally. He's one of the guys that I would really like. As a wide receiver one, but also a veteran that can show them and I'll learn with them some of the plays and some of the schemes that the Cleveland Browns run.
Yeah, and going back to Calvin Ridley and comparing him to Amari Cooper, they're the same age.
Yes.
And I really did not think that. I thought Amari Cooper was a lot older until I started really digging in. I feel like he's been in the league 900 years, as I said earlier. But Calvin Ridley, he has 3,342 yards, and I think 28 touchdowns in his career.
Yeah.
And I think last year really hurt his reputation with the mental health thing. Like he said, it was mental health, but the more and more it looks like he just wants out of Atlanta.
Yes.
I think that's all it was.
Yes.
He wants out of Atlanta, and I think that's kind of a knock on him right now. And, And next year, he's still on his rookie deal at 27.
Yes.
So he's a little bit older for a receiver still to be on his rookie deal. And, I don't know if Andrew Berry wants that, because I've noticed he wants the younger, more efficient. That's how he rolls. So I think Amari Cooper would probably that's probably somebody AB's probably jumping up and down. He's like, we got to get this guy in Cleveland. Yeah. If I got to guess, it's going to be full on, going after Amari.
Absolutely, and obviously Calvin Ridley is a stud, and he does produce. And that 1 year with Julio Jones, 2020, going back 2020, not technically last year because he didn't play a lot last year, but 2020, 90 receptions, 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns. It's that's a year that, like you said earlier, it's a year without Austin Hooper, but he'll turn 28 December 20th, and he just tweeted yesterday, March 4th, in the evening, and just said football is life. Yeah. So, kind of dispelling in a way any rumors that he doesn't want to play football anymore, or that team shouldn't go after him because does he want to play? But then he tweeted that, and got positive responses, got negative responses, because people were like, okay, well, is it really life though? Or, what's going on with your situation? Did you just say all of that? Did you pull like a Ben Simmons because you just didn't want to be there? And you said mental health, and it's like, that's not a good look either. So it is definitely a toss up. It is definitely a situation that needs to be kind of, watched and observed. But me personally, if I had to choose between Calvin Ridley and Amari Cooper, I'll go Amari Cooper. You know what I mean? If you feel a guy is been in the league for a really long time and producing for a really long time, and then you find out they're really young, it's like, wait, what? That means they've been doing a lot. They've been making a lot of noise. So Amari Cooper would be personally my choice out of all those guys. Yeah,
and one thing I've noticed about Amari Cooper, it's not like he's been in 2 different systems and he's thrived in them. He was really good for the Raiders and then really good for the Cowboys. Yeah. So, why can't you do that for the Browns, Get us that best receiver since we've had since Josh Gordon, or even going farther back,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is something for them to, for sure, keep an eye on. And I would love to have Amari Cooper. I would love to have him.
Oh, yeah. And, it's just a good time to be a Cleveland Browns fan, I think, because there's a lot of possibility out there of us acquiring a lot of good talent.
Yes.
And there's been some trade speculations too that there's, and one of them that I saw was Matt Ioannidis or Ioannidis or however you want to say it, from the
Matt Ioannidis from
the now Washington Commanders. And it was the Browns offer a 5th round pick for Matt. So how do you feel about that trade speculation?
So for those of you who don't know, Matt Ioannidis, 6'3", 310 pounds. He's 28 years old. Last year had 38 combined tackles, 2.5 sacks. What I think bringing in Matt Ioannidis does is, okay, you have a veteran presence on the line. You have a guy who I'm huge on weather and where you're playing. I know that at a professional level, sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't, but I don't want guys who are going to complain about playing by the lake or playing in cold weather or playing whatever it may have you. I like guys like Matt Ioannidis. So a veteran presence on the line is going to not make you like landlocked when it comes to picking up a defensive tackle with your second pick. And I think that I'm running under the impression that that's going to happen. But if you do get a Matt Ioannidis for a 5th round pick, okay, what that does is, all right, now you can focus on if with your second pick, a Chris Olave drops or a Jameson Williams, and you've been, hey, maybe I can get this guy. I already have Amari Cooper. Like if you get Amari Cooper, then you draft Garrett Wilson, and then Jameson Williams falls. You can say, hey, I can wait for Jameson Williams to be ready. I'm pretty sure it's week 6 or week 7. They're projecting that he'll be fully healthy, ready to go.
Yeah.
So if it's a guy like that, you want to take a gamble on, and you say, hey, if it wasn't for that ACL he had playing in the national championship game, okay, well, he would be the first wide receiver taken, or arguably you could be taking him at 13. So it's like, okay, well, he has a talent. We can take a gamble on him. And so bringing in a guy like Matt Ioannidis, I personally do like that trade. It's a 5th round pick. And I think that since you have the extra picks in the draft already to begin with, it's like I can send that away. I personally love that trade. I know a couple of people over Twitter also said the same thing, kind of echoed that sentiment. A lot of people said they don't really know too much about him to make that trade, but I personally like Matt Ioannidis, and if they did decide to do that, go back.
Yeah, and with the defensive tackle being a really big need for us next year, getting a veteran, proven veteran, dude, he's a tank. Let's just admit it. He's a tank on the front four. You put him in there with Myles Garrett. I was gonna say Jadeveon Clowney, but we don't know if that's the case anymore. But getting him on that same defensive line with Myles Garrett on the interior side of it, that would be amazing. And the 5th round pick, like the chances of you hitting on a 5th round pick, they're slimmer and slimmer. Like I'm not saying you can't hit on a 5th round pick, because Andrew Berry has done a phenomenal job drafting so far.
Yes, he has.
And his last 2 6th round picks, I feel like he's like just hit out of the ballpark with the 6th round picks.
He's done very well in later rounds of the draft. That is for sure. Yeah,
and I feel like if you can get a proven vet at a position that you really need, like Matt Ioannidis, or I'm not even gonna try to say it again.
No, that was good. That was right.
But if you can make that trade, you got to make it happen. I don't know what his contract looks like, but I feel like it's not going to be like too crazy. I'd say about $6-7 million. Is that right?
He has 1 year, $6.9 million left on his contract.
So that wouldn't even be that bad, because you're getting a proven veteran, and then the defensive class in the draft is. I don't want to diss on anybody, but it's not the deepest defensive tackle class. There's I think it's top heavy, as we said earlier.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that'd be a really smart move to do, is getting.
For sure, especially if Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt are off the board before your second pick. I think that this would be a smart move. And Andrew Berry has shown that they like to get guys on kind of 1 year deals, kind of proven deals, and bring him in. You're bringing him in for a drop in the bucket, $7 million, plug up the hole, and you can get a guy. If you really like him, you can get go wide receiver, then wait till the 3rd pick to get a defensive tackle. But honestly, I think that if they re-signed Jadeveon Clowney, they would have no problem bringing in Matt Ioannidis, because it's like, okay, I like what I have on the line. It showed that it can work, but we just need a defensive tackle that can like stay healthy and show that they can produce, and just a run stopper, but something that we don't have to utilize a high draft pick for, right? Yeah, and so especially in this draft, you want to potentially save some picks for wide receivers who are just gonna, for whatever reason, fall, and you can pick up guys you really, really like, because that is our glaring need for the Cleveland Browns. Is if you have a wide receiver that you like, you have to go get him. So Matt Ioannidis, I like him. 40 career starts. He has
Yeah.
24.5 sacks and 175 tackles. So
Yeah.
I think he's a good fit.
And I think that if you get Matt and then you sign like a proven veteran for the defensive tackle position, you've already got two guys on the roster in Jordan Phillips and Tommy Togiai. If you really truly believe in these guys, you keep them two. You get the two veterans and Matt and whoever you want to sign. You run that rotation right there. There'll be some other guys that'll be floating in. You'll probably get a later draft pick.
McKinley and see.
Yeah, hopefully we bring him back as well. But just going forward with that, like at the second round, like you can go best player available.
Yeah,
because like pretty much if we keep Clowney, we do that. We get the veteran D tackles. We really don't have a huge hole to fill. Other than receiver, and you're going to address that through free agency, maybe through a trade and the draft. Like your 13th pick is most definitely, I would say about 90% sure, 95% sure that that's going to be a receiver.
Yes.
So
yes. I truly agree, and I think that would be best case scenario. I personally, that's one of the few trades that have been proposed over the internet that has been going sort of viral that I am actually all for. I'm actually all for that. It makes sense like across the board. It really does.
Yeah, and there was one that you were telling me before the show. It involved two running backs.
Yes. There was a suggested trade. I think it was, I'm not sure, I don't want to quote anybody wrong, so I'm not going to say who it was, but if one of the listeners remembers, they can tweet it out. But for Saquon Barkley, for Kareem Hunt, just kind of like a straight up kind of trade. Obviously, the Browns would have to give up another, I think it's a second or a third for that as well. But because Saquon was a little bit younger, and I think that to me, I want to hear from you first, and then I'll kind of chime in afterward. What do you think about that kind of deal? I know Saquon Barkley is injury prone, but people can argue the same thing about Kareem Hunt. I know that Saquon and Baker, when they were doing the offensive rookie of the year race, they're kind of boys, they're kind of close. But there's also that history with Odell and Saquon. So what do you think about all of that?
If I'm Andrew Berry and they call me from the New York Giants and offer me Saquon Barkley for Kareem Hunt and you said a second or third?
Third, yep.
I'm laughing in their face and hanging up the phone. Ain't no way. Kareem Hunt is a dog. He would start on, I would guarantee, about 75% of the teams in the NFL. You can argue with me all day. He's still a top 10 running back in the league. I would even say top 8. You put him in the number 1 role, and we have him in the number 2, and I think that's just what makes him so much more special. Plus, he loves Cleveland. The offense thrives when he's there, and like when he's in the receiving back role, dude, it's a GG because you've got to cover him because he's just as good as any receiver we got. Because I mean, he's explosive, man. Like he's out for heads, bro. When he gets the ball, man, you better watch out. He's taking names, he's taking yards, taking touchdowns,
hurdling guys.
Dude, insane. Like once we get him back, our offense is gonna be clicking again. Like I think that was the missing piece. I've said that a few times. I think once we get him back, Nick Chubb's gonna be able to run a little bit better. Not saying that Nick Chubb was running bad, but you'll just get a more explosive Nick Chubb. If that makes sense.
He can get some rest on a couple of downs, and I think that's what makes the Cleveland Browns so deadly, right? Like it's just it's the simple fact that you're not putting them. I know a lot of people want, Nick Chubb, I want him to be a third down, every down back. Well, no, like if you can interchangeably bring guys in and out for downs to get a little bit of wind, you're getting basically, instead of progressively going throughout the game and being fatigued, you're virtually at like 100% for the next snap. You know what I mean? You're just taking a quick wind and then going right back in there. After a big run, you don't have to give it back to Nick Chubb. You can give it to Kareem Hunt and be perfectly competent to keep the drive going, right? And we're even lucky enough to even have Dearness Johnson in the third down back role. So I think you touched on a huge point there as well. Is I am not going to trade Kareem Hunt for Saquon Barkley when Kareem Hunt really, really loves Cleveland. He
Yeah.
loves the running back room. He gets along with Nick Chubb. Like I don't trade guys like that. And especially nowadays, lately, one thing that has been glaring to me is you want guys in Cleveland who want to be in Cleveland.
Yeah, and it's the hometown kid. He loves Cleveland. Like he absolutely loves being there. Like he'll even, like when he's out on the field, like you just see him smiling like when he's in Cleveland because he's just so happy that he's a Cleveland Brown.
And it's something that, I can't, confirm or deny anything too, but, Saquon Barkley went to a high school near my hometown in Easton, Pennsylvania. He went to Whitehall High School, and I had a lot of people who knew of Saquon and were close to him. And when he was coming out of the draft and it was first and second overall, he was like, if I had my choice, I'd rather go to New York than Cleveland. So it's like, I don't know, that's still stuck. That's what, some of his friends allegedly said that he said. And I think, even that in and of itself, I don't mean to hold it against him, but like, it's just something that's like, okay, well, if somebody in his inner circle is saying that he said that, I don't want I don't want any guys who don't want to come to Cleveland. I think I want guys who want to be here and want to play, want to work hard. And who cares about the weather? I don't care about where I'm living. I want to play football. So
yeah, like, and even going back to just Saquon, like he's so injury prone, man. Like he's not. I don't think he's had a full season where he's played healthy since like his rookie year.
Yeah.
And I mean, Kareem's been hit and miss with us, but like the first year he was with us, he was suspended because of the whole situation.
Yeah.
And then balled out and then started off really well, which he played most of the year for 2020.
Yeah, he did.
It was Chubb that went out for a little bit. And they both been, when they're on the field together, man, like it's dangerous. Like you go back to that Chicago game last year.
Yes.
Nick Chubb was not getting it going in that first half.
Yeah.
We threw Kareem Hunt in there, man. He was running over people, jumping over them, scoring touchdowns.
It is not. I feel sorry for the rest of the league because it's not fair. It is not fair that we're able to take out running back 1 and insert him with running back 1.5. 1.2. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you literally. And it's like it doesn't matter what do you want and when do you want it, and then all of a sudden on national television you get Dearness Johnson. We literally put the game on his back and he does what he does. So I don't want to mess up that camaraderie whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's like Nick Chubb's Batman. I would say Kareem Hunt is now not wing because he's a dog. And then Dearness Johnson would probably be Robin.
Yes.
And then Dearness is he's on his way. He's on his way.
For sure. And he's and honestly, like I love Dearness Johnson and I want him to get it back. I saw him on some of the Cleveland Brown videos. So I think building the Browns, hearing his story, it's amazing. I want him to make his money, get his bag. And I think that at the end of the season, at the end of next season, if he still produces again, that I think that we're going to do him kind of like a favor, quote unquote, by saying, hey, where do you want to go? Give me your 5 destinations that you would like to go, and we'll try to make a trade happen so that you can get the bag and things like that. So I think that's definitely really interesting. But I'm going to say no to that Saquon Hunt for a Saquon Kareem trade. That is not that's something that I'm not interested in.
Oh, I'm not either, man. Because I don't think Saquon's ego would let him be the number 2.
No
way. And there would just that'd be something you don't want in the locker room.
Yeah, and you don't want any of that. I'm sorry, I don't want any more drama. I don't want any of that. Send him somewhere else. We don't.
Yeah, we don't want that. We're trying to get that out right now. So because that's what literally killed the season last year was all that crap.
Yeah, but absolutely.
Yeah, and there was another trade that we saw on Twitter, and it might have been the worst trade I've ever saw in my life.
Yes, it was. It was very bad.
Yeah. Do you got the info on that?
Yeah. So it's per Heavy. This is we liked one of the trades for Heavy Sports, but not this one. This one was a trade with the Packers and the Browns. It would send Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams to the Cleveland Browns. And the Cleveland Browns would send Baker Mayfield, Donovan Peoples-Jones, 3 first-round picks, and 1 second-round pick to the
Yeah.
Packers. First and foremost, I wanna just say a couple of things. For me, for this trade personally, at first I really, really did not like this. But and I still don't. However, if you can guarantee me, what would make me think about it is if you can guarantee that I can get both of those guys and keep them in Cleveland for minimum of 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
If they both would want to stay in Cleveland and play there. Aaron Rodgers is 38 right now. His birthday is in December. Davante Adams is 29. His birthday is also in December. So going into next season, 2023, going into the season after next season, he'll be 39, then 40, then 41. So if you can guarantee me that he's going to stay there for 3 years for both of them, I can think about it. But signing and trading for like trading a guy that has 1 year left on his contract that can literally leave.
Yeah.
Like after the season, he can, like Aaron Rodgers can leave and say, you traded for me. Davante's here. Great. But I'm leaving, like still. And so I just don't like the drama that surrounds Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. I don't like the uncertainty of him being on this team long term, and he can retire when he wants to. And I think to just trade away all of those picks, first round picks for the foreseeable future, and to have people on Brown's Twitter to actually back it up and say, hey, I really, really like this. I really, really like that. It's still weird to me. It's still crazy to me. And that's not counting the fact that Aaron Rodgers or Davante Adams is going to want the bag. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you think?
I mean, both of those players are phenomenal players.
Yes.
But it's just the trading 3 first-round picks for a 38, 39-year-old quarterback that's threatened retirement for the past 2 years.
Yes.
And Davante Adams, love him, but, he'd want $20 to $25 million a year.
Oh, my goodness.
That's wild. Plus, you'd have that big Aaron Rodgers contract that he'd want to play in Cleveland.
Yes.
Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, they've both they've came out and said, Baker's the quarterback coming in 2022. That's your guy.
Yeah.
I know that they've not signed any extension or even talked about an extension, which I don't blame them. They probably want to see him at least 6 to 8 weeks, see how he's doing.
Absolutely.
I say that's when you'll know. That's how long it'll take you to know Baker's the guy. But going back to that trade, I just don't think it's even reasonable to even think about. I would love Aaron Rodgers in Cleveland. Aaron Rodgers is one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch in the league.
Yeah, very sensational.
I don't think that that's just even reasonable to think about. That's just how I think about it.
Yeah, and obviously they're great in cold weather, and I think that. But it's just one of those things where I'm giving up my future. I know people would consider it a blockbuster trade, but even if you don't like Baker Mayfield, next year is a year that is so abundant for the quarterback market via draft and via free agency. You think about, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers being an actual free agent, so they could go wherever they would like to go. You don't have to trade anything for them. You're on a team-friendly deal with Baker. There's guys coming out of the draft. It's like, why would you trade away your leverage, right? A season early when you could potentially, even if you wanted Aaron Rodgers, you could potentially, and he stays healthy or whatever, what's 1 year to Aaron Rodgers? I mean, especially in today's quarterback, with the health and everything. And what's the difference for 1 year? If you just feel Baker Mayfield out, you know what I mean? And so I have a question for you, just a side question, but even if I just thought about this, but even if you're still on the fence with Baker Mayfield, would you, after the season, say the Browns go to the playoffs, they win a playoff game, they maybe win 2 playoff games, and maybe they say the Browns win the division and Baker throws for 4,000 yards. Still has a couple of interceptions, but with his new wide receiver crew, looks really good. Maybe throws a lot of interceptions. Just trying to get used to. Would you be opposed to if you can't figure out what he wants, the contract? Would you say, how about I just give you a contract now, like a $26-27 million contract for about 1 year, like a high number, but for another 1 year deal? I know from Baker's camp, they'll probably say, well, no, we want some certainty. We want whatever, but it's like, would you think about doing that, or would you just think about letting him go? Or would you think about, after a season that's pretty good, but still is like on the fence, would you sign him long-term? What do you think about that?
I think Andrew Berry is a really intelligent guy. If he's still uncertain, but like Baker balls out, let's say he does do the 4,000. Let's say he has the best year of his career next year.
Yeah.
If Andrew Berry's still uncertain about it, some of these deals he's been signing these players too, like John Johnson, they've been really like top heavy that first year. They'll get paid, and then after that year, it's kind of just like incentive money. Just kind of moved around money. That's pushed back. So I could see them doing that, like doing like a 3-year deal where the first year's like pretty much all guaranteed. And then the second year they can get out of it. Kind of like how Jarvis Landry's contract is like this year. Like how it's like a cap hit of like 1.5 million if we cut him or trade him. And then the other 15 is like good, or the other 14 and whatever it is.
Exactly. And that's something that the incentive money is something that I didn't think about, but that's a very good point, because what it does now is, if Baker, give him a if he balls out this year, next year, that 3-year contract, top heavy, he'll make a lot of money. But if he doesn't do that well, you can trade him and his contract is friendly to another team, or you can keep him and say, hey, well, for your second year of the contract, it's pretty much all incentive based. A large percent of it is incentive based, and Baker can come back and do well. But I hate to keep switching the subject on Baker, but it has a lot to do with him because of the Rodgers trade. But like, if with a chip on his shoulder this offseason, I truly believe that he'll ball out, and he'll put the ball in Cleveland's court and say, all right, create another commotion, because he's going to ball out, he's going to do really well, and then Cleveland fans are going to say, hey, he's really good, let's
we ride with 6.
We ride with 6. And then people are like, well, this is a fluke year, it's his wide receivers, all this other stuff. So it's like, it's going to create more commotion. I just see it happening, I feel it happening, and I know that's something that's going to probably happen. Or he might have a mediocre year, but then the Browns go to the AFC Championship game, and then fans are going to be like, well, we went to the AFC Championship game, and they're going to be like, well, it was a mediocre year. So it's going to be.
But going back to Aaron Rodgers, like, Aaron Rodgers hasn't won a Super Bowl in 11 years.
Yeah.
And he's had some really stout teams. I know that the thing there for a while was like, hey, they've not drafted him a receiver. He's had the best receiver in the league for 2 years now. 2 or 3 years now. The defense, they went out and paid the defense. The defense has been amazing for them.
They got Randall Cobb from per his request.
And they've done everything pretty much, and they've had the best team. I think they had the best team last year, and he's played like an MVP and then gets to the playoffs.
Put up your first playoff game, you only put up 10 points.
Yeah, like, and I'm not saying like the 49ers game was his fault.
Yeah.
But he didn't play great. If we're going to get a quarterback, love Aaron Rodgers, but like, that's his knock, is he can't get it done in the playoffs. Because that year that they won the Super Bowl, they had just a phenomenal team, top to bottom. The defense was amazing. They had Clay Matthews in his prime, and just everybody in that, and Charles Woodson, lockdown corner, man, or like safety, whatever they were playing him at. I can't remember. But that defense was just so stout. And the offense was amazing too. So
it's one of those things where it's like, all right, you have everything you really want and you request, and I'm not trying to whatever, but it's just, I saw the performance versus the Chiefs versus the Bills in the playoffs. Really elite quarterbacks can make crazy things happen, and for you to be at home in cold weather. Not saying that San Francisco is Los Angeles, but San Francisco is not Green Bay, in December, January time. So it's like you had everything going for you, and to only put up 10 points is like, hey, I think.
Which they played in Green Bay.
Yeah, they were playing in Green Bay. So it's like, it's not even like it's your second playoff game, of that season. It's your first, right? You're coming off a bye week. So I don't know. I think, to me personally, I don't like that trade. I think it's giving up way too much for players that you don't even know who's going to be here. If they want to be. 2, if they want to be here, it's going to cost a lot. And 3, you don't even know if they're going to be here, and it's going to cost a lot. You don't even know how long they're going to be here for.
Yeah.
So it's like it's one of those trades that might be accepted in Madden, but in real life it will not be accepted.
Yeah. I agree to that. And I think that people just need to stop with the QB speculations. I mean, I was one of them there for a little bit. I mean, I was still kind of heated recent effect, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, we need a new quarterback. I kind of stepped back from that, and I was just like, we probably need to give him another year.
Yep.
No, that's weird going into his 5th year or 4th year.
Mm-hmm.
It is his 5th year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 5th year.
Yeah, it's 5th year.
Pick up team option.
Yeah, and it's gone into his 5th year. We need to see a little more out of him, but it's going to be a no excuse year for Baker Mayfield. And it's just smarter to keep that, because everybody else you're going to have to go after to upgrade. You're going to spend a lot more money. You're going to have to give a lot more talent, picks, etc. So it'd about just be better just to draft a QB late in the draft or sign a free agent to back up Baker to get a little competition in there.
Absolutely.
And I think that that wraps up everything we need to talk about today, huh?
We got it all in there, so that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We got down with the Browns, baby.
Down with the Browns. Gotta love it.
Yes, sir. And just make sure you guys follow us on all our social media, and just like and subscribe to us on whatever platform you're listening to. Rate us 5 stars. Hopefully we can get some merch out there soon, man. And
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. And go Browns.
Go Browns.
Running the town, AFC champs, I'm loving the sound. Ready for steel, ready to rave, ready for fall, ready to bang. See us, we coming, we styling, we locking, we passing, we running, we touching it down. Cleveland the city, we good, we did it, we been through the gritty, we loving the Browns. Never will chill, never will lounge. We are the dogs, we are the hounds. Never the fierce, we blue and we bleeding, so get on your feet, cause we are the Browns.